Today, I'll not answer the radio call that your boyfriend has come home drunk and is beating you again. Today, I'll not answer the radio call that your 16-year-old daughter, who is very responsible, is 4 hours late coming home from school. I will not care today that your store has been robbed or your house has been burglarized. Today, I'll not stop a drunk driver from killing someone. Also today, I'll not catch a rapist or a murderer or a car thief. And today, I will not respond to a call that a man has a gun or tried to abduct a child, or that someone has been stabbed or has been in a terrible accident. Today, I'll not save your child that you locked in the car, or the child you were too busy to watch who went outside and fell in the swimming pool. No. Today, I'll not do these things. Why? Because today I was killed by a drunk driver while I was pushing a disabled car off the highway. Today, I was shot and killed doing a routine traffic stop simply to tell someone they had a taillight out. Today, I was killed in a traffic accident while rushing to a citizen who was screaming for help. I was shot and killed today serving a warrant on a known drug dealer. Today, I was killed by a man when I went to his home to do a welfare check because his family was too busy. Today, I was killed trying to stop a bank robbery or a grocery store robbery. Today, I was killed doing my job. A chaplain and an officer will go to a house and tell a family that their son or daughter, or husband or wife or father or mother won't be coming home today. The flags at many police stations will be flown at half-mast today, but most people won't know why. There'll be a funeral, and my fellow officers will come. A 21-gun salute will be given, and taps will be played as I'm laid to rest. My name will be put on a plaque, on a wall, in a building in a city somewhere. A folded flag will be placed on a mantel or a bookcase in a home, and a family will mourn. There'll be no cries for justice. There'll be no riots in the street. There'll be no one marching screaming the words, "No justice, no peace." No citizens will be outraged, claiming that something must be done. No windows will be smashed, no cars burned, no rocks thrown, and no names called. Someone crying themselves to sleep tonight will be the only sign that I was cared about. I was a police officer.
Here's calls 120, 21, 28, code 3, 1035 West Lexington at Home Depot.
118, tell this my family hello.
I can't copy.
118, tell my family hello. Yeah.
We got crews coming. I'm getting medical. Any available crews go. All available crews go.
And I take it personally, okay? We're going up there and there's a bunch of cops processing a scene of a dead kid. And they're the ones that are going to be out there patrolling and stopping suspects that may have guns under the front seat. They're the ones that are going to take the risks of their lives to try to clean this thing up. All right? We're responsible for the things we get wrong and we take action. We've arrested cops, we've fired cops, and so on. But the fact is that the people out here, some of them, who had the most to say are absolutely MIA when it comes to the true threats facing this community, and it gets a little tiresome, and we start getting yelled at for reading the updates of the kid that got shot. Yeah, you take it personal, okay? Now, no offense, but I'm going up there now.
When people ask how I'm doing, I want to say my depression is an angry deity, a jealous God, a thirsty shadow that wrings my joy like a dish rag and makes juice out of my smile. I want to say getting out of bed has become a magic trick and I'm probably the worst magician I know. I want to say this sadness is the only clean shirt I have left and my washing machine has been broken for months. But I'd rather not ruin someone's day with my tragic honesty. So instead, I treat my face like a pumpkin. I pretend it's Halloween. I carve it into something acceptable. I laugh and say, I'm doing all right.
Today, I'll not answer.
Well, end of watch for February. Unfortunately, we have a little over doubled what we had last month. We had 7 last month. There was 15 in the line of duty deaths for February. Did a different opening. I don't own no copyrights to that, but I don't make any money on this, and it was good. If I don't jerk on you heartstrings a little bit, I don't know what will. Before I get started, I want to apologize for my voice. As I said, it's yellow season, and my sinuses are draining bad, and it's got my throat extremely raw. So I'm going to do the best I can. We're going to start with Trooper Zachary Fink from the Florida Highway Patrol in Florida. His end of watch was Friday, February the 2nd, 2024. He was 26 years old, 3 years on the job. Cause of death was an automobile crash. Trooper Zachary Fink was killed in a vehicle crash during a pursuit on Interstate 95 at 3 a.m. 2:40 a.m. The subject was speeding in a reckless driving on I-95. St. Lucie deputies attempted to initiate a traffic stop. Other agencies joined the pursuit when the subject did not stop. The subject made a U-turn on Interstate 95, driving southbound in the northbound lanes on I-95. Trooper Fink initiated a U-turn to stop the vehicle and was struck by a semi-tractor trailer. Trooper Fink was transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The driver of the tractor trailer was also killed. The pursuit continued with the suspect driving the wrong way on I-95. He eventually crashed and fled on foot. He was apprehended at 8:06 a.m. Trooper Fink had served with the Florida Highway Patrol for 3 years. He is survived by his mother, his father, and his fiance. A very young man lost his life way too soon. Next, we have Chief Deputy Sheriff Ken Procrock of the Moody County Sheriff's Office in South Dakota. End of watch was Friday, February the 2nd, 2024. He was 51 years old. He had 7 years, 11 months on the job. Cause of death was he was struck by a vehicle. Chief Deputy Sheriff Ken Procrock was struck and killed by the driver of a vehicle being pursued by the Madison Police Department at 4:12 p.m. The chief deputy responded to the call for assistance and was deploying spike strips South Dakota Highway 34 and 472 Avenue in Coleman. The driver intentionally swerved toward the chief, killing him. The subject has been charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of aggravated eluding. The chief deputy had served with the Moody County Sheriff's Office for almost 8 years. He is survived by his wife, a son, and 2 daughters. Next, we have Deputy Sheriff Timothy Tarvis Rivers from the Crawford County Sheriff's Office in Georgia. End of watch was Tuesday, February 6, 2024. He was 40 years old, 2 years on the job. Cause of death was automobile crash. Deputy Rivers was killed in a vehicle crash on Marshall Mill Road. At 10:09 p.m., Deputy Rivers was responding to an officer assistant call. Traveling southbound when his patrol car crossed the center line. When he attempted to correct his path, he hit another vehicle. He was transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Deputy Rivers had served with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office for 2 years. He was survived by his 4 children, his parents, 3 siblings, grandmother, nieces, nephews, and a fiance. We have Deputy Sheriff Christopher Johnson of the Harnett County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina. End of watch Tuesday, February 6, 2024. He was 51 years old, 26 years on the job. Cause of death, automobile crash. Deputy Sheriff Johnson was killed in a 3-vehicle crash at 2:56 p.m. Deputy Johnson had left Highland Middle School and was on his way to another school when he collided with a tractor trailer. His patrol vehicle was thrown into multiple vehicles. He died at the scene. Johnson was with the Harnett County Sheriff's Office for 16 months and was a student resource officer at Highland Middle School. He previously served with the Sampson County Sheriff's Office for 16 years and the Dunn Police Department for 19 years. He is survived by his wife, 4 children, and a father. We have Deputy Sheriff Greg McCowan from the Blount County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee. End of watch was Tuesday, February the 8th, 2024. He was 43 years old. He had 4 years on the job. Cause of death, gunfire. Deputy Sheriff McCowan was shot and killed while initiating a traffic stop. At around 9 p.m., Deputy McCowan and his partner pulled over a vehicle for erratic driving. The driver would not cooperate and shot Deputy McCowan and the other deputy in the leg. She returned fire, but the subject fled on foot. Deputy McCowan was taken to Blount Memorial Hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. The other deputy was treated at the hospital and released. The subject, who is a convicted felon, was apprehended 5 days later. The felon's brother and girlfriend were arrested and charged with aiding and abetting after the commission of a homicide. Deputy McGowan has served with the Blount County Sheriff's Office for 4 years. He is survived by his two children, a granddaughter, parents, and a fiance. Deputy Sheriff Rondell Bates from the Harris County Sheriff's Office in Texas. End of watch was February the 10th, 2024. He was 62 years old, 31 years on the job. Deputy Sheriff Ronald Bates was killed in a vehicle crash while en route to the Harris County Jail at 10 p.m. After finishing an overtime assignment, Deputy Bates was traveling on Travis Street when he lost control of his vehicle and struck a tree near Richmond Avenue in Houston. He was transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Deputy Bates had served with the Harris County Sheriff's Office for 31 years. He is survived by his wife and his 2 children. We have Patrol Officer Jonah Hernandez from the Las Cruz Police Department in New Mexico. End of watch was Sunday, February 11th, 2024. He was 35 years old. He had 2 years on the job. His cause of death was he was stabbed. Patrol Officer Hernandez was stabbed to death while responding to a trespassing call. A witness to the stabbing shot the suspect while another witness called 911 for help. Officer Hernandez was transported to the hospital where he died from a knife wound to his neck. The suspect had a lengthy criminal record and mental illness. Officer Hernandez had served with the police department for 2 years. He is survived by his wife and his 2 sons. We have Sergeant Nevada Krinke from the Sheridan Police Department in Wyoming. End of watch was Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. He was 33 years old. He had 6 years, 6 months on the job. He was also a military veteran. Sergeant Crinky was shot and killed while serving a trespass warning near 5th Street and Val Vista Street. Sergeant Crinky was transported to the Sheridan Memorial Hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. The subject, who had a lengthy criminal record, fled and barricaded himself inside a residence. After a 30-hour standoff, the subject refused to surrender, attempted to flee, and was shot and killed. Sergeant Crinky was a United States Army veteran and had served with the police department for over 6 years. He is survived by his wife, who also served with the police department, and a daughter. Deputy Sheriff Robert John Leonard from the Meages County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee. His end of watch was Wednesday, February the 14th, 2024. He was 35 years old. He had 2 months on the job, and cause of death is drowning. Deputy Sheriff Leonard died of a single vehicle crash in the Tennessee River off the Blythe Ferry boat ramp in Birchwood. Deputy was at home when he took the call relating to a disturbance near Highway 60 bridge in Birchwood. He arrived at the scene at about 9:48 and at 10:15 p.m. radioed that he had arrested a female subject and was transporting her to the county jail. A few minutes later, dispatch received an unclear transmission where Deputy Leonard mentioned water. The area is remote and rural, and it is difficult for cell phone signal and other radio traffic to go through. When he failed to respond to a status check, a search began. The next day, his car was found upside down in the water with the female subject still in the back. His window was rolled down and he was not in the vehicle. His body was recovered at 6:30 p.m. on February 15th. The deputy had served with the county sheriff's office for 2 months. He is survived by his wife, 5 children, mother, and 2 siblings. We have Police Officer Paul Elmstrand from the Burnsville Police Department, Minnesota. End of watch was Sunday, February 18th, 2024. He was 27 years old, 5 years on the job. Cause of death was gunfire. Police Officer Paul and Police Officer Matthew Rouge were shot and killed after responding to a domestic incident at 2 a.m. A man who was a convicted felon had taken several family members hostage, including 7 children, and barricaded himself inside the home. Officer Rugg and Officer Elmstrand and 2 other officers had been negotiating inside the house with the man, who claimed to be unarmed. After 3.5 hours of negotiation, the subject fired on the officers suddenly at 5:26 a.m. 2 officers returned fire, wounding the subject in the leg. While Officer Rouge and a Burnsville Police Department sergeant were exiting the home, they were struck a second time. Burnsville firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth was shot while he was trying to help the wounded officers to an armored vehicle. The man continued to shoot at officers from the upstairs window. They were transported to the county medical center where they succumbed to their wounds. The sergeant was treated and released. The man committed suicide and was found deceased in the home at 10:15 a.m. The investigators relieved that the subject fired more than 100 rounds at the officers. The hostages were able to escape safely. Officer Elmstrand had served as a sworn officer with the Burnsville Police Department for 5 years and had previously served as the community service officer. He is survived by his wife and 2 young children. A very young man. Next, we have Police Officer Matthew Rouge from the Burnsville Police Department. End of watch February 18th, 2024. 27 years old, 4 years on the job. He was the other officer involved in the other call that we just talked about. He had 4 years with the police department. He is survived by his parents and his sister. Next, we have Trooper First Class Chase Winston Redner from the Georgia State Patrol in Georgia. End of watch was Tuesday, February the 20th, He was 31 years old, 6 years, 5 months on the job. He was struck by a vehicle. Trooper Redner was struck and killed while investigating a fatal pedestrian crash scene on Interstate 75 at 10:35 p.m. on February 19th. A construction worker died after being struck by a vehicle while setting up a work zone. The trooper was investigating the collision site and was standing outside his patrol cruiser at 12:30 a.m. when he was hit by a passing vehicle. He was transported to the hospital where he died from his injuries. Trooper Redner had served with the Georgia State Patrol for over 6 years. He is survived by his mother and his fiancée. We have Deputy Sheriff Charles Rivette from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in Texas. End of watch was Wednesday, February 21st. He was 40 years old, 18 years on the job. Cause of death, automobile crash. Deputy Sheriff Rivette was killed in a crash on southbound Interstate 45 at 10:30 p.m. Deputy Rivette was a passenger in a patrol vehicle transporting an inmate from Oklahoma to Montgomery County when it struck a tractor trailer. Unable to stop, 2 tractor trailers crashed into the back of the patrol vehicle. The impact forced the vehicle into the northbound lanes. Deputy Rivette was thrown out the vehicle and was hit by a pickup truck traveling in the northbound lanes. The other deputy and the inmate and one of the tractor trailers also suffered serious injuries. Deputy Rivette had served with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office for 18 years. He is survived by his wife and children. His son also serves with the agency. Police Officer Wisbens Antoine, Knoxville Police Department, Tennessee. End of watch was Sunday, February 25th. He was 32 years old. Tore at duty one day. Duty-related illness. This happened on February 23rd. Police Officer Antoine passed away after collapsing at the completion of a 1.5-mile run during basic recruit training. Training staff provided life-saving measures until he could be transported to the medical center. His condition worsened and he passed away on February 25th. He had served with the Knoxville Police Department for 1 day. He was a member of the 2023 B Basic Recruit class. He is survived by his wife and his 2 children. Officer Cody Allen from the Independence Police Department, Missouri. End of watch Thursday, February 29th, 2024. He was 35 years old, 15 years on the job. Cause of death was gunfire. Officer Allen was shot and killed while responding to the shooting of a civil process server, Drexel Max, of the 16th Judicial District Circle Court of Jackson County at about 1 p.m. Mr. Mack and several other process servers were serving an eviction notice at the residence when an occupant opened fire, wounding him. The other court officers and a neighbor called 911 following the initial shooting. As Officer Allen and other Independence police officers arrived at the scene, they attempted to rescue Mr. Mack, but also were fired upon. Officer Allen suffered fatal gunshot wounds while the other 2 suffered non-fatal wounds. Mr. Mack also succumbed to his wound. The subject was taken into custody a short time later. Officer Allen had served with the Independence Police Department for 6 years and had served in law enforcement for 15. He had previously served with the Grandview Police Department for 6 years and the Lafayette County Sheriff's Office for 7 years. He is survived by his wife and his 2 children. Our last one for this month, we have Trooper Christopher M. Gadd, Washington State Patrol, Washington. End of watch was Saturday. I'm sorry, that's for next month. I apologize. So we had 2 canines get killed this past month, February. We had K9 Leo from the Marion County Sheriff's Office in Florida. End of watch was Tuesday, February 20th. He was a Belgian Shepherd, male, 4 years old. Been on the job for 3 years. Cause of death was gunfire. K9 Leo succumbed to his gunshot wounds he received during a domestic call. When Marion County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene, the subject accused of battery by strangulation fired at them from a backyard. The K9 was struck in an area not covered by his protective armor. Deputy returned fire, killing the subject. He was transported to the animal hospital where he died 3 days later. We have K9 Luca from the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi. End of watch was February 21st. He was a Dutch Shepherd male, 11 years old. Been on the job for 9 years. Cause of death, gunfire. K9 Luca was shot and killed after a vehicle pursuit. Subject fled in a vehicle from DeSoto County Sheriff's deputies on Highway 61. The car crashed after deputies deployed a pit maneuver near Star Landing Road. When the subject vehicle stopped, K9 Luca was unleashed. The subject fired at K9 Luca, striking him. Deputies returned fire, killing a suspect. K9 Luca was transported to the veterinary hospital. He succumbed to his wounds. K9 Luca has served with the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office for 4 years and previously served with the Army 7th Special Forces Group Multi-Purpose Combat Tracking Detachment in Florida for 5 years. That dog was also a military veteran. Too much past month. It's already one for this month. Let's hope it stays way down, but who knows? We've had 23 total this year. Last year there was a total of 135. The last 10 years it's been 2,647. Let's keep all these men and women in our thoughts and prayers, and especially for their loved ones that's left at home by themselves now, since they gave up their lives protecting a bunch of people that they don't know and don't even like them. Y'all stay safe.
This video is dedicated to the men and women in law enforcement who have made the ultimate sacrifice while wearing the badge. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for another.
A folded flag stained with tears. They remove the badge from your chest. God, this can't be real. Now you walk a beat in heaven on God's streets of gold. When I take my last breath, you'll be waiting at heaven's door. Hollow ground stands a stone, a solemn lion who stands alone, a tribute to your honor and fallen brothers too. Lives taken out of anger for hatred of the blue. If it wasn't for the badge, the bagpipes would not play. Beautiful, amazing grace, as they fold the flag and pray. The bugle would for the badge, there would be no final call. Carved on these walls, the sacrifice one gives. It's not how they died, it's how they lived. If it wasn't for the badge, the bagpipes would not play. Beautiful, amazing grace, as they fold the flag and pray. Silent, the rifles would not draw. If it wasn't for the badge, there would be no final call. I know God called you home, and I miss you so bad. I never would have met you if it wasn't for the band.